Well, I'm just finishing up the repairs on my SMTMAX 702. I just picked this up from the estate of a dear friend of mine who passed away tragically about a year and a half ago. Well, this unit, I remember my friend having nothing but problems with it. He never did get it working, but I just did. You see, this is a unit that would be typically purchased on eBay for approximately $500, brand new. It's a made in China pride, as Spatzbear would say, unit. This is a one of the many pieces of electronics service equipment that can be purchased for pennies on the dollar when compared to legitimate brand name stuff. It's just imported from China. In big giant shipping containers, made with very little care or any real semblance of quality at all. But when this stuff works, it works. It does the job and it gets it done. And that's exactly what I bought it for. You see, I do a lot of headphone jack replacements on Macintosh systems because the people that my employers, let me rephrase that, the people I work with and the users of the equipment are a tad careless, and they end up breaking the headphone connectors off in the jacks. And when you have the tip of a connector stuffed way down in a jack used on an Apple product, you just can't get the stuff out. I've tried 100 different methods. So what I want to do is get myself set up so that I can remove these jacks safely without damaging any components, and I want to replace them with jacks salvaged from scrap motherboards. That's the goal I'm after. So with a unit like this, I reckon I can get that done. It's all apart because I just wanted to take a look at how it was put together. So it has, basically, before you fire it up, it has three different functions. The primary function is a desoldering gun. This provides up to 480 degrees Fahrenheit in heat and a little bit of vacuum, just enough vacuum to draw solder through this tip and contain it in this little vessel here in the back. It's kind of a pain in the ass to remove, but we can get enough. There we go. So the solder is actually drawn into this chamber, and it's cooled in this phallic spring looking thing. Oh, that was actually solder stuck in there. Oops. I'll have to dump that out. Anyway, so once it's in this little spring, it cools and forms into like a little ball, where it's then drawn into this little chamber back here, and then you just dump it out carefully. Okay, that's how it works. Kinda, sorta. So now I gotta put it back together again. Like I said, it is kind of a pain in the ass. There we go. Alright, back to what was wrong with it. It had a couple of seals that were bad. This was one of them. The seal that actually goes between this little trigger lock and the chamber was too big. And it was also dry rotted. So it wouldn't form a tight seal, no matter what. And the other seal that was failed, or actually it was broken, was in this little vacuum port here. If I unscrew this, which I'm not going to, there's a little rubber seal. And luckily, I actually keep a good selection of rubber seals on hand at all times. It's just one of my things. You never know when you're going to need a rubber O-ring, and, well, case in point. So the other function it has is, see, once you rework, it's a full rework station. So you can not only remove the components, but you can also reinstall new ones. So it has this little pen soldering iron that also goes up to 480 degrees Fahrenheit. When this was new, it came with multiple tips that you could choose from. Unfortunately, I got mine well used, so I got none of those things. And I got this rinky-dink. This is not the original iron holder. I have better ones at work where this is actually going. But I have better ones I can use at work that will do the job. But there's nothing wrong with this one. I believe this is actually designed to mount on a bench. But it'll do the job. And the third function it offers is surface mount desoldering. Now this is a cool little device that blasts up to 500 degrees of hot air onto a needle-focused area. Alright. And that is actually powered by this little... here, let me show you what I mean. There's a vacuum line that goes from the port on the front into this vacuum pump. It is a diaphragm pump, I believe. And there's an electrical line that actually goes right through this hose that provides heat to the heating element inside the tip. When this was new, it featured several replacement tips in different sizes, actually, for the heat gun. And it featured multiple tips for not only the soldering iron, but for the solder extractor as well. Okay, so let's go ahead and fire it up. When you first turn it on, the air pump kicks in automatically. Alright, we're gonna run that all by itself. I'm gonna turn this on. Now this control knob here changes the speed or the intensity of the air pressure. So right now it's blasting out 500 degrees Fahrenheit, almost. It's enough to desolder any component from any circuit board. And to demonstrate this, okay, so now when that light goes out, that means it's up to temperature, I think. Yep. Alright. You gotta be careful now. That heat is intense. It will burn you. Remember, 500 degrees. I'm going to lower the airspeed a little bit. And we're going to desolder a chip off of this old video card. Why don't we take one of the memory chips off? Alright. Maybe that's not... There we go. So instantly, the solder starts to melt. I mean, that was fast. So I got to... trying to walk and chew gum here. Oh crap! I just burned my counter. Are you serious? Within seconds, I just burnt my countertop. That's how hot the air is. I mean, it's intense. That took all of one. That was not even. Oh my god! Well, that's. You actually need tools. You need a chip puller or a spring clamp that you can remove the chip with. And you need to not burn your countertops. Let's try this right here. This is probably too hot, but there we go. Pop that chip right off. To demonstrate the sheer awesomeness of this gun. Well, I think I just did enough of that. I burned my countertop. But I'm going to burn this board. Now watch what happens when you apply it too long. It's already burning the board. Look at that. Look at that. Just burns it right up. This connector, look at that. Now that's some serious heat. That's not to be played with. Yeah. Imagine how fast you could cook something with that. Now, I mean, I've had my 1200 degree or 1200 watt heat gun, you know, that close to this countertop before, and it never did anything to it. But you can just clearly see the sheer power of that heat. I mean, oh my God. What else can I burn? Now, I'm not even touching it. Shit, that was my good cutting board. I'm a dumbass. Alright, what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and shut this down. Now, when I press the off button, a built-in safety protection device kicks in, and it runs the pump at maximum velocity until the preset temperature is reached. Okay. While that's doing its job, and my house smells like burning bamboo, we're going to go ahead and play with our soldering iron. You know what? Let's skip the soldering iron. You've all seen what those do. It's just another one of many soldering irons that you might have on your bench if you have one of these units. Let's kick in the desoldering machine. I'm going to bring it up to 480 degrees. And I'm going to run the, I'm going to let it heat up for a little while. Let it heat up for a little bit. We know that works. I can't believe it did that. It's like a laser beam. The heat is so high and intense and so focused that within 1 second of exposure, not even a full second, it did in fact burn my countertop. Right here, you can't really see it, but right there, it burned right into the Formica. I'm glad it was only a little. I mean, the average person will never notice it, but it still pisses me off. Alright. I don't know what this rubber plug goes to, but I just found it. Oh! That goes right there. That's to cover the calibration port. So there's a calibration adjustment for possibly the soldering gun, or the soldering tip heat. There's one on either soldering iron. Cool. Alright. Now what we're going to do on our badly destroyed board is we're going to try to suck up some solder. Let's pretend I need this VGA jack for something. And this is a legitimate scenario where I have found myself caught in many times. I've had to replace VGA headers, audio jacks, as I mentioned earlier, on Apple boards. And those are a nightmare. But here we go. Come on, baby. It's not really doing the job here. Oh, it's working. Desoldering on some of these headers can be a real pain in the neck, especially if they use lead-free solder. Lead-free solder is really the pits to work with. You can see the solder go away. It's getting sucked in. Does a great job of cleaning out holes. Kinda, sorta. Alright, well maybe this isn't the magical solution I was looking for. But it does work. I mean, it does what it's supposed to do. Just not very well. Like every other Chinese product. But hey, who am I to judge? And that really didn't make the job any easier. Wait a minute, I think it's clogged. Alright. What we're going to do now is we're going to remove the transport screws. I just remembered I forgot to take those out. Those little screws that are holding the pump in place for shipping purposes, and we're going to remove the screws that do that. As written in perfect Chinglish, make sure the 4 screws are removed before use. Otherwise, serious damages may be caused to the user. I may have damaged myself. I should get that checked out. Let's see if it sounds any different now that it's free floating. Not really. Maybe I'm fortunate enough to not have caused damage to the user, or from the user, or by the user. Very interesting. Alright, let's try this again. I'm going to clean out this solder hole here. Oh, it's not hot enough. There's no flow, actually. I think it might be clogged again. Alright, it was definitely clogged, so I had to clear it out. There's a tool that was originally part of the package, and I don't have that tool, but it's like a little pipe cleaner type thing that you run through the nozzle. Now that we have airflow, there we go. Now that we have airflow, we should be able to get some serious results. Or not. No results, huh? But there's airflow in now. It just isn't. You know what? I think I need a smaller tip. I got that one. Yeah, I got that one, alright. Got that. Come on, baby. Oh, huh? Okay, so here's the trick. You gotta let it sit with the compressor off. With the vacuum off, let it heat up the solder completely, let it flow, and then suck it. Oh, this is so handy. Just gonna let it sit for a little bit, and then draw it out. Alright, I think I got the hang of this. But I'm gonna have to get a nice bent piece of wire or something to keep next to the workstation, so that way if I ever do get clogged again. See, that one is not picking it up. Sometimes adding more solder to the mix can make this job a little easier. Occasionally. But that one is not having it. Let's try this one. No, not quite. Come on. Yeah, see, it's being stubborn in some of these joints. It just doesn't want to do it. That one, I got that one. Got that one. that one, clean that one out nice. But having this is going to make my job a lot easier, especially with that. But obviously I'm going to run it at a much lower temperature. I don't want to be burning holes through circuit boards. That would be very bad. Oh, I'm sorry, that's in Celsius. What's 500 degrees Celsius? Anyway, I don't know that off the top of my head, but let's take a look at a thermometer, shall we? Let's see here. I have one in my freezer. 500 Celsius is not on this gauge, but 80 degrees Fahrenheit is around... Oh wow, that is going to be hot. Yes, I have frozen bloodworms in my freezer. That's for the frogs, not me. Okay. They love them. And speaking of frogs, they need to be fed. Yeah, they're getting kind of hungry. So, let's go ahead and feed them. The bloodworms are for a nice special treat. I don't give them... But, when they're young... when they're young, the frozen bloodworms are actually a much easier to eat food. For them, it's also more nutritious, and it fattens them up real easy. Okay. Got some hungry little amphibians there. How hungry? Very hungry. I feel like Mr. Frickin' Rogers. So I got to bring that workstation back to work, where I do all my. I've got all my equipment over there for electronic stuff. I don't do any of that here anymore. Isn't that right? You got that. You got that right. So yeah, I got to bring that to work and find a place for it. Are you gonna eat or what? You're just camera shy. Anyway. Little Reptar and Rosie the Riveter. Say hi. Okay then.